Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Utkarsh Gupta, and I'm a senior solution consultant within VMWare, managing few of the larger BFSI customers within India. Now, before actually I start with my presentation, I believe there should be a huge round of applause for the entire Elets team, right, for organizing such an amazing event. I'm sure there would have been a lot of hard work and effort gone into that. So, a huge round of applause for the entire team. Right. So we had a very interesting panel session sometime back. Yep. And a very key takeaway for me as part of this session was the entire BFSI industry today is going through a huge disruption. Now, when we talk about this disruption, right, what are some of the key drivers that are responsible or resulting in this disruption? So the first and foremost thing is the customer behavior or the customer demographics, right? As per a recent Forrester survey, it was identified that 80% of the customers are actually willing to engage or basically manage their finances digitally. Now, this is a drastic change if you compare to how we used to manage our finances probably a decade back, right? Versus now, wherein the consumer is looking to manage his entire finances through a mobile. Now, due to this, what is happening is that there is a lot of focus on the customer experience as well, right? That is becoming very important for the banks today. And in fact, there are quite a few fintech companies also that are emerging over the last few years and are trying to address this exact same problem. How do we increase the overall customer experience? And if you think about a traditional bank, these new age fintechs are definitely their competitors, right? Finally, if I look at even what is happening around the digitization, right? A lot of these services that the banks are offering are moving to a digital platform. While it is being moved to a digital platform, it is helping the end customer. But at the same time, from a bank perspective, if you think about it, it is also increasing the risk of cybersecurity threats. In fact, one of the internal surveys that we had done, we have found that approximately 51% of cyber threats that happened during the COVID period, that was on organizations that were part of the FSI vertical, right? Now, all these factors are definitely, disrupting the banking industry. But if you think about it, there are a few internal factors as well. Now, with the COVID, right, if you look at the entire employee experience today within the banks, right, or if you talk about any industry today, the preference is actually to be able to work remotely rather than coming to offices, right? And a recent survey done by MIT actually states that by 2024, nearly 50% of the employees within the FSI industry would be working remotely. Now, what it actually means is, within the organization or within the FSI industry itself, the banks and the FSI customers would have to upgrade themselves to ensure that these employees who are working remotely are easily able to access their applications, right? So with this disruption in place, obviously what is happening is that even the banking is evolving, right? If I talk about the traditional banking, right, what we used to do maybe a decade back, if any of the consumer used to actually want to access their finances, right, what you do, what would anyone typically do at that time? There was only a physical channel available. Either they would be going to a bank or a physical branch to look at their accounts, do any financial transactions. Now, with this financial disruption that is happening, there has been an evolution in terms of there has been an evolution in terms of how we are engaging with the banks as well, right? Banks today are adopting a digital framework which constitutes of digital technologies like social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. And due to this, a lot of transactions which were traditionally happening over the branches, they are now being moved towards the consumer's mobile, right? So there is a drastic shift even in how the consumers are transacting today. But what do you think going forward? Would the technology, the same set of technologies be only used, or there would be new technologies that banks would keep adopting? What actually we feel, there would be a exponential usage of technology going forward. Some of the key initiatives or key technologies that banks might adopt going forward, and few of them they're already adopting to say, AI, as we all know, right? It's the hot topic today. Banks are already leveraging AI. A good example for that can be chatbots, right? They are leveraging chatbots to increase the customer experience. Another example is banks are open to adopting open APIs today. And with the adoption of open API, what they are doing is they are having a partnership with the fintechs so that they can provide much more services to their end customer, right? And this is what we feel would constitute the digital 2.0 framework that banks would be focusing towards going forward. Right. So I talked about the digital evolution that we feel would be happening within the banking industry. But how does a traditional bank transition itself from a traditional bank to a digital bank? We feel there are certain few key pillars that would be needed to transform a bank to a digital bank. The very first thing, and probably the most important thing, is personalizing the customer experience, right? When I say personalizing the customer experience, basically migrating away from the legacy way of transacting to moving towards a mobile ready mindset. And obviously that would mean transforming their existing services to become digital ready service, which will enable to have a bank, which will enable the consumers to work on their banking transactions from anywhere at any time. From an IT perspective, there would be a need to adopt modern data center, right? Which means leveraging not only the basic virtualization, compute virtualization technology, but extending that virtualization across the storage network as well as security domain itself, right? Implementing additional automation solutions that can easily help to release an application much faster. Embracing digital workforce. One of the key points I talked about in the earlier slide was a lot of these employees would be now started working remotely, right? So the employee experience and the employee productivity will become very key aspect going forward. So basically the bank need to adopt tools which can actually make the employee life much easier, right? And finally, adopting a security first approach, be it across the data center or the devices, right? Or for that matter, even in the processes that they follow, right? Security has to be a paramount concern, right? So I talked about the different pillars or the key aspects, right? Which would be needed to make a bank digital. But where does actually VMware come into play in this thing? We believe within VMware, we actually have a very strong solution portfolio across the key pillars wherein we can help the banking customers, right? If we talk about the app modernization journey, within VMware, we have a VMware Tanzu solution, which not only will help the banks to run their modern application as a microservices based architecture, but also it provides tools that can help the bank and other FSI customers in building those cloud native applications as well as managing them at a large scale. From a multi-cloud deployment perspective, right, we have the VMware Cloud Foundation, which is, if I want to give a quick summary, it is actually a software-defined data center solution that provides you a software-defined storage, compute, networking, and an integrated lifecycle management solution, all combined together that will, ease the operations for the admin team to manage the overall data center operations. And actually, it gives you the complete flexibility to deploy in your data center as a private cloud. Or for that matter, if you want to deploy the same solution to any of the public clouds, right, it can just be extended with the same software fabric, right, providing a true hybrid cloud experience. From a digital workspace perspective, we have the VMware Horizon and the Workspace ONE that will provide bank the right set of tools that would make it much easier for their employees to access the applications in a secure and efficient manner. And finally, with the Carbon Black and VMware NSX security capabilities, we can not only help banks securing their endpoints, as well as we would be able to even extend it towards the data center security as well, right? Be it with use cases such as micro segmentation, or for that matter, even software defined IDS IPS capabilities, right? So basically, complete set of portfolio that can be leveraged across all the key pillars, right? So why VMware? I would say the first and foremost thing is we are the number one trusted vendor across the globe who is running more than, I mean, I would say who's running the most enterprise workloads across the cloud, right? 10 of the top 10 global banks currently are using VMware solution. And in fact, it holds true even for Indian customers, right? Most of the Indian banks today are using some or the other form of VMware solution. And finally, more than 300,000 customers globally are using or relying on VMware solution to meet their modernization or digital transformation journey. Now, in the interest of time, obviously, I have not covered a lot in depth about the different VMware solution, right? But we definitely have a booth here, and I would encourage each and every one of you, if you just want to understand a bit more around the VMware solution, you can join us at the booth. The VMware team, along with our principal partner, Vicetech team, is at the booth, and together we have actually helped a lot of BFSI customers in their digital transformation. So I'm sure the technical experts within VMware and Vicetech team would be more than happy to engage with you and share their insights, right? So with that, yeah, if you have any questions, probably I can take that, or we can probably meet at the booth as well and discuss further. Thank you.